Now that we've all played the Trails and Tales update, it's time to rate what's fucking shit garbage that I hate and what exactly is great. Today I'll give you the top 5 of both, but I'll be starting here with the worst because it absolutely has to be said first that Mojang had the easiest job with so many features in this update, and one of the very easiest ones is one they messed up the most and for which they actually tried to boast in the initial release trailer of the update despite doing nothing unique with it. It blew my mind that it released in the form that it did, but let's start in the normal top 5 list way with the 5th worst item in the Tales and Trails update. And I know this one is going to get me a lot of hate because so many people love the decorated pot. It's their favorite part of the entire update because you find it in archaeological ruins and you get lots of shards around the place, and then when you gather them together, they have all these uses. Wait, is there not a single thing that the decorated pot actually does? That can't be right. No, wait, it's there for telling stories? They made a whole customizable item and all you can do with it is tell stories. Yes, that really is the decorated pot, and although you can make it out of bricks too, they are non-stackable, so they're a nightmare to build with, and they're really great because they go with lots of different building styles. No, it's a type of pot. It only works in a pyramid style. I do not understand the idea of the decorated pot. There is nothing that can be stored in it. It can be used for a fair few building recipes, but it is something that exists purely in aesthetic form. Some people would argue that something is good enough in Minecraft if it's just visuals, and you know, it's a building game, and so you can just have blocks exist that way. But if that's true, how about we remove the functionality behind every other block and you just play creative? No, the point of Minecraft survival is you go through work and you get some reward, and the only reward for this is visual, which is why I think not only is the decorated pot flawed, but so is the fourth item on this list. That's how you say fourth, I swear. Because the fourth item is definitely the Trail Ruins. This is only fourth because it has so much room for improvement, but ultimately there are so many problems with it. The first of which is the fact that while going archaeological hunting in the Trail Ruins, you'll pick up so many garbage items. Here is the list of garbage items. Why is that so much longer than the list of uses for the decorated pots, first of all? But second of all, why give us this many unique items and then not give us any way to manage our inventories? People have been crying out for the bundle for as long as archaeology has existed as a concept, but please give us some way to organize our inventory or pick items that won't be picked up or some way to deal with it, because I want to have a relic disc in my inventory. I don't want to have a green candle. Why would you ever assume it's the opposite? But Mojang, please give us some way to deal with inventory sorting or picking which items get priority, unless you think that people go around into the archaeological ruins and start saying this: oh yes, I needed a green candle so bad. I was desperate for a green candle. I came all the way out here, 9,000 blocks away from my base, and we finally got it, chat. The green candle. Ooh, I could have just used some wax and some string, you might say. But no, no, no. But I guess the lack of inventory management is something that Mojang will just fix another day. I mean, when is the next update coming out? Oh, it's at least a year away? Well, I guess then we have a full 12 months of just terrible inventory rules. This is the big problem with having an update come out without the solution to something in it. You have to wait a real long time before it necessarily makes sense, and this isn't the ideal way to release something, and the best example of this is probably the torch flower, because the third worst feature in this update has to be something which is the whole reason people voted for the sniffer, because they heard this quote at Minecraft Live last year.
The sniffer is an ancient mob. They loved plants and found seeds by sniffing the ground in the most adorable way.
And assumed that you'd get multiple types of flowers from the sniffer, which wasn't ever the plan. The torch flower was the only flower that he was ever going to drop until later in development when the pitcher pod finally came out. It's looking pretty nice, by the way. By the way, they have the same problem. They are aesthetic only, which means that both the torch flower and the pitcher pod are basically kind of useless. And I can kind of understand that you don't need to make every flower a super hyper-functional thing. You can just have flowers to be pretty, but when they take so much effort to obtain, and when they're called literally the torch flower, there's so much you could do with it. In fact, Minecraft did decide to give it a tiny bit of functionality because you can brew the torch flower into suspicious stew, and you know what you get? If you guessed the exact same thing as a poppy, which is much easier to obtain, then you would be right. Honestly, the reason the torch flower is such a missed opportunity is because it's called the torch flower. All you need to do is make it a flower that also slightly lights up your world, and boom, you've got yourself an incredibly interesting flower that could make a whole field lit up by itself. It could have had the beauty and form of a plant while also having the functionality that some low-level light would bring to your world, and I think that would have been great. But you know what? with the torch flower, at least you can argue there's lots of other useless items in the game. Something that really kind of irks me is the second worst item in this update, because there is a huge community of people who hate Mojang and everything they do and say they do 10 minutes of work each month and just call it a day. Usually in response, there's so much you can say. However, the raft will single-handedly prove them right and make you look like an idiot for saying Minecraft features are well considered. Here's what the process for developing the feature clearly must have looked like.
So Carl, I was just wondering, what have you actually been doing for the 6 months you've been working at the company?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked, actually. I've been working on a new type of boat, because there's bamboo wood, so I was making a new bamboo boat, right?
Can't you just retexture an existing boat and then make it craftable with different planks, though?
Oh.
That doesn't seem like it should take you so long.
No, for bamboo, we're gonna make something entirely different. It's actually gonna be called the raft. It's been really complicated to work out how it's gonna work, but you're gonna love the result.
Oh, it's a whole new form of transportation. That sounds really fun, actually. What does it do differently to the boat to justify it being an entirely new item then? Well, does it go any faster?
No.
Is it crafted any differently?
No.
Is there maybe a different in what type of mobs can sit on it because it's open-ended?
Not at all.
Does it break easier because it's a raft?
Not in the slightest.
Oh, so if it's just a retextured model, that means that you could work on one that's different for each of the boats, right?
No, it's exactly the same as the other types of boats. It just happens to look like this because it's a different texture and model.
In the same way that each of the doors have slightly different functions, you're going to do the same with boats. That sounds
Yes,
incredible.
I am
Good job,
definitely
Carl.
going to get right around to that one in a few years. Maybe, yes. Good job. Thank you for checking in on me, boss. I'll keep up the hard work. Along the same lines, by the way, the honorable mention of the day is the Wandering Trader. The man's still stuck in the 1.19 update. They didn't give him any new items whatsoever, when the whole point of the Wandering Trader is an expensive way to fill those gaps in your world. And so if you have a world that doesn't have a cherry grove biome, being able to trade for a cherry sapling would be so great. If they did the same for bamboo, it would be a nice super flat update, but they did neither of those, and so will he ever get new features, or have they forgot they made the Wandering Trader? Anyway, we find ourselves at the end of the list. We find ourselves at the very worst feature in Minecraft 1.20, and let me just say, there is plenty they could have done to make this mod better. They announced it so long ago, but instead they said no, because genuinely people at Mojang thought that this was a fine mob that was able to compete with the horse or the donkey, or indeed any other form of transport, but instead we got a mob that isn't capable of any sport. He has no style, he has no grace, this goddamn mob has a funny face, and that is his only redeeming feature if you are a single player in Minecraft. I do understand why they needed to add him. These trailers of 2 players going around on a camel are actually pretty compelling, and the idea that you'd be really high up and he can get over ravines sound like really good ideas. And if you do start a new Minecraft world every 16 minutes, which you abandon the moment your friends leave, then this would be great, because you might spawn near a desert village and get yourself a camel which both of you can ride. The first rideable mob which 2 players can get on, but for everyone else, it's a terribly janky mob that goes slower than a horse, rarer than a donkey, and with a longer jump cooldown than any other mob in the game. That makes this mob terrible for going uphill, but also it takes massive damage when you try to go downhill. Just ouch, 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 meaning this mob is terrible for going on any terrain that goes slightly up, it's terrible for going on any terrain that goes slightly down, and therefore it is a mob that is perfect for perfectly flat ground. But if you're on perfectly flat ground, build an ice pathway and make a boat, or if you want to be freeform, use a horse, mule, or donkey and you'll go so much faster. The only saving grace is that while you're up high, you can't be hurt by mobs, but how often do zombies attack you while you're on a horse anyway? The only mob that you really take damage from when you're on a mount would be the skeleton, or something that attacks you from a range, and you know what? You're still vulnerable to those on a camel. The idea of this mob is really, really good for the first 10 minutes of your Minecraft world if you also happen to find a saddle, but after that, I'm afraid that I just think it is a much worse idea that could have been actually useful if they'd have given it a longer jump wide enough not just to go across small ravines, but big ones and big rivers between valleys. They could have done some really decent gap dodging. However, this is not what they've done here, and I know that that opinion is going to generate some controversy and some hate. I know there are some people who absolutely love everything that happens in Mojang, and there are some people who just want to all over them and say that, yeah, the game is getting worse. It's not that I've gotten less interested in it, it's that Mojang's messing up. But I like to, honestly, on this channel, call out a game that I love because there are so many great things about Minecraft. It is a wonderful game, and they are making lots of really nice updates here and there to make it higher and higher quality without ruining the base of it. However, at the same time, every single update, they seem to put in features that seem entirely unconsidered. What is the raft there for? What is the camel there for? And ultimately, why does the torch flower not do anything unique whatsoever? Are these additions they're going to change later? And if so, why add something to the game that's going to be visual only for years? And if they believe that visual only is a fine way for blocks to be, then why don't we have concrete stairs and slabs? That is literally fooling him with the mission statement of having every crafted stone material be stairs and slabs, and that actually would be useful for most builders, whereas torch flowers are a very, very niche side item. I think it's important that the community not only mention the things that are best about updates so that Mojang know what they should make more of, but also that the community is critical of features that actually don't really add too much to the game, and that is why I think the sniffer is great and the camel is lame. With that said, I hope you all enjoy this video. I hope you enjoy my honesty. If you haven't already, check out the other part of this series, the top 5 best features of the 1.20 update, and also this whole week I've been working on the quest for getting all of the trims, because I think that is the one biggest beauty of this update, is the challenge that everyone is embarking upon to get the beautiful yet challenging cosmetics that are found across your world, and that is something that I'm going to be doing via my live stream series. You can find it on the live section of my channel. Have you noticed how YouTube now has shorts, live, and video separated from each other? You can see my shorts that are going up, you can see my lives for the longer form, and you can see my videos, which are, I guess, somewhere in between. Anyway, thank you very much for spending your time on this video. I hope you found it to be useful, because I'll see you next time. Goodbye. There we go. That's the worst skit ever.